before we begin to think about this goes for any form of verbal communication, be it a presentation, a meeting, a casual conversation. It could be that they are really pleased to be with you because they have heard about you before, taking into consideration what you want and what you in a scenario where you need to go in and negotiate. Now, if you've got high status, but it's worth considering. So now we've got some clarity on who we are and what we want, who our audience are and what they want, and what the status relationship. So, for example, you get up to do
the difference we are with our family, with our friends, in the pub, and then in professional context. I haven't really come across with any impact, and it's something that just stays with me and doesn't travel to my audience. Let's think of another kind of example. We can equally be over, but if we're at a public, it may not be as positive as you would wish.
that's part of body language, but there's more to it. I want us to think about open body language and closed body language could look like this. And I want for a second for you to, I think there's degrees on both of these. So you could be too open, you could be here all. So for those moments, you might want to close the body down a little bit. So maybe the hands come down onto the lap, maybe there's a little bit less animation. The ideal with this is to get to the place where both are available to you. But the thing to think about is that eye contact is a human, but just make sure when you start to really engage again that I want you to think of it as one thought to one person. I'm a voice and speech coach working at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. We just need to think about connection.
Now, instead of talking too much more about what it is to be grounded, let us actually think. This video is yours. Please remember to pause it. Starting from the largest toe of the foot to the smallest one toe at a time. Let's take a few moments. When you are standing in this position, focusing very intently, don't forget to breathe. Keep your knees unlocked if you can. When you are feeling the point of contact of your toe on the floor, make sure you're not pressing it, because your toe will automatically have a point of contact on the floor as you stand. Observe. Allow your focus to reside in that point of contact. Feel it toe by toe. You will notice this exercise is very relaxing and a little unsettling, because our minds never really go there. Centering the voice is nothing else other than extending your voice from the center of the body to the person or people you are talking to, rather than throwing your voice aloud or shouting across the room, as I have experienced, sadly, many people doing so. Let us get an idea of what centering the voice is all about through a simple exercise. I'm going to take my hand and place it in what I would call the center of my body, which is right underneath the place where my rib splits and right above my stomach. Whilst I place it here, and before I ask you to take a deep breath with me, I'd like you to prepare a line in your head. Something like, since I'm modeling the exercise for you, I might say, "Hi, my name is Graham D'Souza, and I'm a voice and speech teacher." That's my line. So let's all together take in a deep breath, and then upon the exhalation, speak this line from the center of our body. Hi, my name is Graham D'Souza, and I'm a voice and speech teacher. If you notice, my voice is being extended towards you from under my hand from the center of my body. I will do one now in another way, which I think is not very beneficial. For example, taking in a deep breath. Hi, my name is Graham D'Souza, and I'm a voice and speech teacher. So you can hear even my voice is changing with that tone. I'm going to do it with you together, and let's experience what centering the voice is all about. Get ready with your line, and let's take a deep breath together. Hi, my name is Graham D'Souza, and I'm a voice and speech teacher. Didn't that feel wonderful? If it did, pause the video and note down what you felt. In this video, we have covered what it is to be grounded, and what it is to center our voice. Two very, very essential elements in being present and calm. Being present and calm, in the broader sense of the term, is invaluable to engaging and impactful communication.
Welcome to session 4 in creating impactful and important communication with a specific audience. And we're going to use all of the work we've covered so far and recap in this session with a specific focus on how we use language to make greater and lasting impact with our audience. It may seem obvious, we talk all the time, but in effecting lasting impact with an audience, we need to take consideration of a number of vocal elements. We need to think about the volume of the voice. Sometimes if we're too soft, the audience strains to hear us, and we're not making impact. We need to know more about that time and space between yourself and the audience. Their listening ear needs to be tickled, if you like. So volume of voice is important and how you can vary that. Pitch is important. I use a lot of pitch in my voice. It may be generational, but pitch is a very important ingredient in making the voice land and invite that audience into specific demands and queries that you may have, imploring them or asking them a question. All of these are important tools. So pitch and volume and pace. If I am too slow, I may send you to sleep. If I'm too fast, you won't understand what I'm saying. So you have to regulate and manage and know more about how you articulate and express. Volume is important, as I've said. Pace is important. And articulation. Specifically, we often fear being over-articulate, sounding too proper or too formal. But importantly, we really need to think about the ingredients of making language live. That's all it is. How do we make live our thoughts for the listening ear? That's really what articulation is, and becoming more aware about what goes on in your own mouth, your tongue, and your lips, and your breath, in order to make language live, live, and effectively.
When we speak, we often consider words to be everything. Well, they are very important, don't get me wrong. But what is also very important is that if these words have to be brought to life by our voice, we have to use certain elements in our voice, such as pausing, pitch, inflection, intonation, just to bring those words to life. If we don't bring words to life, then words are just more beautiful on a page. So, through this video, what I am going to do for you is I'm going to demonstrate in 3 different takes how, by the use of my voice, or rather through pauses or pitch and inflection and intonation, make it sound really interesting, really boring, or just really confusing. So sit back and take in what I'm about to demonstrate. Here is take 1. Hi, my name is Graham D'Souza, and I have been a voice and speech teacher for nearly 10 years. I have enjoyed doing the subject so much, and my students also enjoy learning with me. I have been doing it and doing it and doing it, and I never get bored of it, and I will do it till the time I die. I hope you enjoyed your nap. We're going to go on to take 2. Hi, I'm Graham D'Souza. I'm a voice and speech teacher, and I've been doing this for 10 years. My students are really, really excited, and they really, really like the classes. I really enjoy teaching them. I've been doing this for so long. I don't think I'm ever going to stop because I've been doing this for so long. I think I'm going to do it till the time I die. Could you wrap your head around what I just told you? If not, don't worry. Because trust me, I'm not suggesting you do it that way. Here's take 3. Hi, I'm Graham D'Souza, and I'm a voice and speech teacher. I have been teaching voice and speech for 10 years, and I've really, really enjoyed myself. This is something I have been involved with, and I have been doing for a long time. And because I've enjoyed it so much, I feel I could keep on going and going and going till the time I die. I hope you noted something different, because according to me, certainly pitch, volume, intonation, inflections, you name it, played a big role and had a huge influence in the way I communicated these 3 takes with you. Following this video is going to be a task. Please do the task by watching the video again and noticing the differences that you may find and observe.
Welcome to this session, which is all about articulation. So what is articulation? If we think back over the sessions we've had, articulation is the final outpost of all the work you've done so far in preparing your mind and your body for the kind of expression you want to make to the specific audience you wish to engage. So articulation is really the organization of the ingredients that come together at the point of language expression. So articulation involves the space of the sound you make, and in conventional ways we call that space vowels, that breath, mind expression that brings forward our feelings, so that in the conventional expression of how are you, you feel the impact of my care. I really genuinely want to know how are you. It comes from me to you, and I'm using the space of that vowel expression. And that articulation has the intention of greeting you in the way I wish to greet you and ask you how you are. Let's think about then how the other parts of sound might work. The articulation of the consonants. The consonants are really the gatekeepers of the architecture of the sound, the begin and end words. For example, the b in bounce. The how you find the energy in that very bounce is something you can feel physically inside your body, and you can feel how the breath is there or it isn't there, and creates volume and impact on bounce and carries into the room to your communicating ear appropriately or over appropriately, so that you could bounce it too far into the room. So we're always trying to think about how we use consonants appropriately for the space and time of the room we're in, and for the thought that we have behind that. So space, emotion, vowels, articulation of consonants. And if we don't bring those elements together, we might be said to be not true to the communication we wish for. It may look good on paper, but if I introduce myself, hello, I'm Jane Austen, actually you don't necessarily hear that because I'm not living behind my consonants and I'm not opening up for the space of the vowels. And so therefore, consequently, you don't hear or feel what it is that I'm saying. So further into the exercises we'll do today, the exploration of articulation, you will always be in charge of the articulation process as long as you bring mind and body together and realize that the jaw and the tongue and the lips and the breath are all part and parcel of how you articulate your thoughts to a given audience. So let's think in more detail about how we prepare for conscious articulation, because of course we articulate every minute of every day when we're awake by and large. So what is this conscious articulation comprised of? Well, we have awareness. We have awareness of the articulators. And of course the jaw is the great gatekeeper of all that we need to keep aware of releasing and keeping soft if at all possible, because that keeps the breath flowing through the instrument. So taking your fingertips to the side of the muscles, releasing the bottom jaw away from the top is always a great place to remind yourself. And it also reminds yourself of the feet that we ground to the earth. It's almost as if we're releasing the lower jaw to the earth. And that gives a great starting place for looking closely at what goes on in the mouth with the articulators themselves. And of course, we're usually not so conscious of what goes on in the mouth. It's quite difficult to visualize. But the tongue is an active agent in articulation, as are the lips. So we can always stop by just massaging around the lips to say, all right, the lips are also important outposts for articulation. And then inside the mouth, we start to say, well, how do I know what's going on? Just let your tongue tap behind the top teeth or behind the bottom teeth, and you start to get an awareness of where that tongue is in the mouth. And then you think about the back of the tongue. It's a strange country back there, and we often don't know where that is. And we might just open up and as a kind of K and ka, and we start to get to that place which is hidden from our thinking often, the back of the tongue and the soft palate at the back. So we move from releasing that jaw, focusing on softening those lips to make them agile, and then thinking about where the tongue is placed, front, middle, and back. And we bring those ingredients together as we produce sound. And we can use sounds such as the lips bubbling, bubbling, bubbling. And we keep free and released on that. And we can change our pace and our emphasis on that as much as we like. And then we think about the tongue producing that d, the d and dog, the d. How many times can you use that rapidly or slowly or with fun or with bounce or with energy? And we move to the back of the tongue, k, g, or g, 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 g. How's that? And we're often not aware of how muscular we can make language. Of course, if you're a rapper, you are. If you're an ordinary business communicator, you're perhaps not using the tongue and the dexterity that you could. So have fun in exploring between the release of the jaw, the discovery of the breath, the front there of the lips, and what they can do for you, the tongue all the way through the tongue, and then you are truly in charge of articulation.
We're now going to look at pitch and its impact on how we speak. Pitch, at its simplest term, is the rise and fall of the voice, or the music of the voice. Now, this isn't about being a singer, but even as speakers, we all have the capacity to go through different pitches, different sounds in the voice. So, for example, if I had a piano here with me, this note is going to be different from this note. Now, most of us have a small range that we move through when we speak. It's one of those habits that we will have picked up in the past. But we all normally have the capacity also to increase this range. So why is this useful? Well, it's useful because pitch can help you to tell the story or to deliver your message. The thing I want you to take away from this is that variety is key. It's not about speaking really high or speaking really low, but it is about finding a little bit more movement in your range so that you're able to vary how you're saying things and which pitch your voice is speaking at. Before we go any further, we need to investigate what's happening with your pitch currently. So to do this, I would like you to pause this video and record yourself speaking your introduction speech. Now at this stage, I don't want you to overthink it. Don't try and go in and change the pitch that you would normally do this introduction speech at. Just set yourself up either with a camera or you can just do it with a voice recorder on your phone. And I'd just like you to speak it through one time and then come back to the video. Welcome back. Great. So I'm hoping that you have just done that task of recording yourself speaking your introduction pitch. Now the next thing I want you to do is listen back to it if you haven't already. And in particular, I want you to bring your attention to the pitch of your voice, the music of your voice, and see if you can identify any patterns that you have or any habits that you have around your pitch. I'm going to give you an example before you go away to listen to your own introduction pitch. Here we go. Here's me doing mine. Hi, it's great to meet you. My name's Amy Broomfield and I'm a voice and communication coach from London. I'm here today to lead this workshop on presence and focus and how we can bring more of it into how we communicate. Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but the pattern that I was doing there was that I always started every sentence on about the same pitch, and as I got to the end of the sentence, I dropped my pitch. A different pitch pattern might be that I start in the middle of my range, I go up a little bit, and then I bring it down at the end. Let's see how that might sound. Hi, it's great to meet you. My name's Amy Broomfield, and I'm a voice and communication coach from London. I'm here today to lead this workshop on presence and focus and how we can bring more of it into our communication. So what you might have noticed there is that I varied my pitch a little bit more, but I still had a kind of pattern running through there. I would start in the middle, it would inflect a little bit up towards the higher part of my range, and then it would lower again. Pause this video now and listen back to your recording and notice, are there any patterns? And the first way I'd like you to do this is by starting each line. Hi, it's great to meet you. My name's Amy Broomfield, and I'm a voice and communication coach from London. I'm here today to lead this workshop on presence and focus and find out how we can bring more of it into how we communicate. So what you may have noticed there is that I started that first sentence, "Hi, it's great to meet you," in the middle of my range. Then that next sentence, "My name's Emmy Broomfield," I went higher in my range. So my name's Emmy Broomfield. So we had hi and then my, hi, my. So each of those sentences has started on a different pitch. Then when we got to the "I'm a voice and communication coach," I lowered my pitch. "I'm a voice and communication coach." And that gave it that gravitas in that moment that it needed. You get the idea. Have a go for yourselves. So pause this video and go through your introduction again, varying your pitch at the start of each line. Welcome back. I hope that was really interesting for you, finding a way to move your voice around a little bit from where it tends to normally sit. The next way that I want us to investigate and explore pitch is by using it on our keywords. So our keywords are the ones that we really want our audience to notice, our audience to hear, because it helps us to land our message more clearly. I'll have a go. My name's Emmy Broomfield and I'm a voice and communication coach from London. Again, you would have heard that. So again, hopefully you really heard those words there. So presence, focus, communicate. Pause this video again, have a go with doing that on your introduction speech. Well done. Hopefully this has been an interesting